Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
The Russian bounty thing. It all started when the New York Times ran an article recently that alleged Russian intelligence operatives in Afghanistan had offered the Taliban a bounty for killing U.S. and U.S.-led coalition soldiers. The narrative goes on to assert that both President Trump and Vice President Pence were briefed on these Russian-sponsored activities and kept it to themselves. But both the president and vice president deny having ever been briefed. Those from the intelligence community who would have done the briefing also said they did not brief either the president or vice president. So who's telling the truth through this haze of confusion? Is this the huge scandal implied by the screaming headlines in the New York Times, or just another fake scandal ginned up by a media smelling yet more blood in the water surrounding President Trump? Here to help us figure that out is the maven of all things defense and foreign policy at LibertyNation.com, J. David Patterson. Dave, welcome back.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be with you.
It's a pleasure as always. So, Dave, this seems to be something of a moving target, this Russian bounty story. First, what do we know for sure? What can we verify about the existence of a bounty on U.S. soldiers by Russia, meaning Vladimir Putin?
Well, I think we don't know as much as we'd like. We know that last week, U.S. intelligence chief Gina Haspel from the CIA and John Ratcliffe, director of national intelligence, briefed congressional leadership in a classified briefing. But the question is always, well, what did Vladimir Putin know and when did he know it? And I suspect that he didn't know much about this at all.
Why do you say that?
We get the idea that Russia is this centralized activity where you have this one fellow, Putin, who directs all the activities that go on. And that's about as true in Russia as it is in the United States.
So you're saying that this could have gone on unbeknownst to Vladimir Putin, even though the media depicts him as a all-powerful dictator who knows everything that goes on in his country. But let's go on to what we know for sure or don't know about whether the president and or vice president were briefed, and if they were, how they responded.
Well, I think the White House has steadfastly maintained that the president and vice president did not receive verbal briefings on this subject. And we do have a little more information now because the press spokesperson came out and said that the 30-year veteran at the CIA who would have briefed them on this subject chose not to. And I suspect for very good reasons, because the intelligence was not fully formed, and perhaps what they had wasn't credible.
Now, Dave, in reading your story and others about this subject, this seems to me to have all the earmarks of a sort of a classic Russian disinformation campaign designed to shake up U.S. politics. Am I on the right track here, or is this more a product of the fertile imagination of power players on the left looking to take down Trump?
Actually, Tim, I suspect it's a little bit of both. Clearly this is an opportunity for the Russians to stir up chaos and discontent in the U.S., which is what they are about. But with liberals in Congress, that's a low bar. They have a great willingness to believe and go berserk over anything that looks like the Trump administration can be put in a bad light.
Did this leftist obsession with Russia, which reached full flower, so to speak, in the Mueller investigation, which, lest we forget, revealed no collusion between Trump and Russia, in fact, that there wasn't any collusion for Trump to participate in, did all of that does all of this result simply from the fact that the Democrats had to blame anyone other than themselves for getting beaten by Trump 4 years ago? Or is there truly legitimate reason to fear the Russians?
I think the answer is yes and yes. Yes, this is this Democrats will use any excuse to play the Russia card. And on Russia, they are simply irrational. And what they are missing, in fact, is the real danger that both Russia and China represent.
Dave, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Always glad to be with you.